Lot Almighty checking in, man. Listen, YouTube, let's get right to it. So, in today's video, we're going to be talking about. Uh, I have a split. I was going to talk about this experience. Well, I'll give you guys this. So, I was at the gym, and I go out there, I set up my equipment, I have my speaker usually, and I have my tripod, are the two things I always have out there because if I'm recording content or whatever have you, but it's always out of the way where people aren't gonna, be in the back shot too much if they are, and then you know what I mean. A lot of people that work out outside anyway don't really care about that, if I'm being honest. So, I'm putting my stuff down. He kind of gives me like this look. I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the problem? So, I had my headphones, I still had my earphones in at the time, and I thought I was in the way, so I had kind of like took them out and was like trying to see, he was making eye contact with me. So I said, are you here? Like I was just that in between banter, that gym awkwardness, And next thing I know, he's like talking under his breath. So I was like, what? And he comes up to me, he like walks up on me. And in my mind, I'm like, is this nigga about to hit me? Like, is this guy about to hit me? So I start trying to like rationalize what's going on because he's not saying. So he's like, what is that? Talking about my speaker. I'm like, it's a speaker. He's like, pretty much like trying to make me feel like an asshole. I do this every day. I go out there every single day. Nobody has an issue. I try to be like fair when, there's kids out there. I try to just, I like to read the room, and never had an issue, never had anybody try to like come at me and try and stop me. So it was really weird that he would do this. And it was like, I just got out there. He was like, man, I can't hear my music, XYZ. And I just kept thinking to myself, well, that doesn't make sense because it's a public gym. Like, and if you've been to EOS, you know that they have the outdoor speakers out there, and usually the music's playing out there, but it wasn't playing. So I made the comment like, yo, like, you have, what about when the speakers are on? Then what? And that, I mean, long story short, it got diffused. But the reason why I wanted to bring up this story was because I had to make it a point to tell him, like, hey, man, like, if you had just came and asked me, hey, man, can you turn that down a little bit? Like, I'm trying to hear my music in my headphones. I know you're not going to be out there forever. But it was the fact that he came up to me and, like, came up into my personal space. And I had to be like, bro, I get what you're saying, but you're not going to talk to me like that. Like, I'm not trying to cause an issue. But if you really want somebody to do something for me, like, you should really think about how you're talking. And he didn't like the fact that I was saying that, and he eventually, left and snitched on me. And when the lady came out there, I told her what had happened. I said, well, I don't know what he told you, but, he walked up on me like, he was going to do something. And I try not to have, like, I don't really have an ego, so to speak. So it was just an interesting concept. It was just an interesting thing that I had encountered. And I guess the message of the day is, stand your ground. You could be in the wrong. You could be wrong. And like I said, I'm a very level-headed person. If he would have just came to me normally, sure. But don't take disrespect from people. He was an older dude, and I'm telling you, I'm like the most respectful person, I promise. And even I told one of the guys I work with, or that works there, I told him, I said, look, I'm not a problem. Like, I don't want to cause an issue. I don't want to, cause an issue here at the gym. I'm not a problem. Like, I'm not a confrontational person, but also like, because he was out, one of the workers was out there. One of the trainers, he always sees me out there. It's not a big dude. He's a brother, you know what I'm saying? And sees me out there, we talk all the time. He sees me with my music, my shirt off, no big deal. So it was, when he was approaching me, I kind of like made like a little hand motion to kind of let the worker know, like, watch this situation, because I need an alibi. Obviously they have cameras, but I told him, like, I'm trying to diffuse the situation. Like, I don't want to have an issue with this guy. Like, I don't really want to have an issue with him. I don't want to go to jail. I don't need to get into any type of confrontations or anything like that. But I'm not going to let somebody play with me and let somebody play with, just thinking that they can do whatever they want. And I was proud of myself. I guess the whole point of this conversation is I was proud of the way I handled it, because I got my point across without, like, he started getting loud a little bit with me, and I was like, dude, you're a grown man just like me. Like, why are you yelling? Like, why did you come at me? And he's like, well, it's the fifth time it's happened. I said, well, it's probably not me. It's probably not me that you're mad about. If you came out here with your speaker, I'm not going to be mad. So there's going to be people mad at you for whatever you want to do, man. And it's okay. Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off of, the politician just died as well. Actually, you know what? The message of this video is, when you stand for something, regardless of what you believe, when you stand for something, it's always going to be perceived as, you're cocky, or, and people are going to, whatever they want to say, but people are going to hate you for it. And I'm just doing me. Like, he was like, well, you told me to come over here. I said, no, I didn't. I didn't tell you to come over here. You walked over here on your own, man. Like, I'm not trying to, like, I'm not, and again, I box. I box every single day. In my mind, I'm like, you walk up on me like that, like, I don't know what you're trying to do. Like, I could easily, and I guess what I'm trying to say is, even in a disagreement, you shouldn't solve these issues with violence. Or at least you shouldn't try to. That shouldn't be the first result. And, what happened with that politician, it's going to really impact the way we see things moving forward. And it's just kind of crazy the world we live in, man. But always put yourself first. Always, fight for your respect, especially when people are trying to, do things to you that, aren't really, they're just not desirable things that you want done. And, it's okay to stand up for yourself, and there's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it. Obviously, in a politician, that's not the way to stand up for yourself, is to just off somebody, take somebody's life. But in that situation, yeah, you want to be an asshole, that's fine. I'm just not going to, feed into it. I will have a conversation, but you getting up in my personal space, you're lucky it was me. If it had been anybody else, you don't know how that could have went, man. So there's a right way and a wrong way to do everything, I guess. One of the longer videos, if you made it this far, go ahead and drop a like, subscribe, and a content. Wow. I got all that on video. You guys saw it. I got to get a new chain, I guess. But yeah, subscribe, like, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.